G'day guys, how are we going? Well, I'm down here at Diesel Tune Australia, down here in Dandenong, and they've got this 2019 model PX3 Ranger that's coming for some performance engine upgrades. Now they're going to upgrade the intercooler, the turbo, they're going to put a catch can on, and then they'll do a tune at the end. Now this will be a very different vehicle to drive once all these modifications go on. Now Matt's got all the bits and pieces laid on the bench inside. Let's go and have a chat with Matt. Right, mate, so we've got all the bits and pieces all laid out here for the Ranger out there. So what have we got, mate?
Well, we're going to start off by fitting a catch can to this car. Very common modification done to diesel vehicles these days. This takes the oil mist that comes out of the PCV valve and filters it and stops it going into the intake of your engine. Causes thermal barrier inside your intercooler and ultimately inside your inlet manifold. So this thing's a great idea. This is done by a company called Process West. They make a kit that bolts into the car with all moulded hoses, a specific bracket for the car, so it's a really easy fit.
Yep.
And it looks factory when you're finished.
When you're finished, yeah.
So it's quite good.
So then we move on to the next piece.
Yep. This is really the heart of it all. This is our TorqMax turbocharger for the Ranger, for the 3.2. This turbo flows about 25% more than the factory turbo. It fits straight on. It's actually a modified PX1 turbo. This will allow us to run about 25 pounds of boost flat, so we can make power all the way through, whereas the factory turbo is done by 2900, it's fallen off. So this is a really good device. No extra lag down low, so it doesn't affect the drivability of the car. It's all positive, so it's a really good thing. We're very happy with it.
And then from there, then we get into the upgraded intercooler.
Yeah, so this is more about heat management. The intercooler is much larger than the factory one, and you'll be able to see that later on when we take the other one out. But this larger intercooler just helps maintain that power. So if you're coming up the side of a hill with your van on the back, this thing will just suck up the heat and just keep sucking it up. Whereas the factory intercooler just gets to the point where it can't get rid of any more heat. The air temperatures start to rise and the computer will start pulling power out of the engine. So this thing's a really, really good thing. If you're towing with your Ranger, you need an intercooler for it.
Well, so after all this goes on, mate, what sort of expected performance do you think you're going to get out of this?
These things do come up good, and we really bring them up to like what you'd expect out of a current V6 common rail diesel. We'll take the 147 kilowatts to around about 215, so it's a big jump.
Big increase. And
the torque, more importantly, goes from 470 to around about 690 newton meters. So that's huge. And that just helps with the drivability everywhere, taking it from the lights, overtaking, really, really good.
So this guy's going to certainly notice some differences when he gets his vehicle back.
It'll be a completely different vehicle, Tim.
Well, let's get the guys get into it and see how we go.
Good on you, mate.
So we've got the standard turbo out of it and the new one that's going to go in.
Yep.
So again, what's a couple of differences between these two?
Okay, so as I said to you at the start, this is a modified PX1 turbo, brand new straight out of Garrett. We start with that turbo because it has a larger shaft for higher boost. Then we modify the housing for a larger wheel, so we put a larger billet wheel in there. The actual aero design of the wheel is much better than the factory one, and that in itself would flow more air. But the fact that we've gone up in size also, it allows us to just boost that air up and just hold that boost pressure all the way through the run, which is really the main gain. Once they're on, they're actually, you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, so physically they look identical, but they're not.
So once you pair all this up with the new turbo, intercooler, tune, the whole shoot match,
yep,
it's going to all work together just nicely.
We've done a lot of testing with this for a long time now. We've probably sold over 100 of these turbos, and they work really, really good. They make boost nice and flat. They're not any laggier than the factory one, so it's all a really good package.
Well, let's get the boys, get the new one in and see how we go. Yep. Right, Matt, we've now got the standard intercooler out of the Ranger, and this is the upgraded one that's going to go in it. So what's just some of the differences between the two? Okay,
so purely and simply it's size. This is much thicker. It's actually a lot higher as well, so you can actually see it's quite thin. Plastic tanks, whereas that bad boy, lot thicker. Yeah, cast aluminium tanks.
Yep.
More tubes. It just flows more. In actual fact, the more tubes, the slower the air can travel, the more time that air spends inside the intercooler to give up its heat.
Righto.
So there's many different facets to why an intercooler, or a larger intercooler, is better than a smaller intercooler. But for the main part, this is a heat soak, and this is going to absorb heat. That's what it's designed to do. The fact that it's got holes in the middle of it for the air to travel through and take that heat away is an advantage, or a bonus, yeah? And that just absorbs a lot more heat than this does. These have a sensor in the end of the tank which measures the air temperature. Now that reports back to the computer and says, this is the air temperature, everything's good. But if you're going up the top of a hill with a trailer on the back, it's reporting back to the computer, stuff's getting hot, start pulling power out. This sucker will just keep sucking that heat up, and then it doesn't pull the power out. So that's the really big advantage of having an aftermarket intercooler on a car, any car that you're going to tow with.
So any big benefits, that's for sure, mate, yeah.
I think it gets undervalued because you don't actually see any difference on the dyno. But when you drive the car and the car's got consistent power all the time, that's where the advantage is.
Well, mate, we've seen the final results on the dyno there, after the new catch can, new intercooler, turbo upgrade, and a retune.
Yep.
Pretty impressive results there, mate.
Yeah, very, very good. The power's gone from 103 kilowatts at the wheels to 147 kilowatts at the wheels. The torque's jumped in terms of flywheel figures to, well, over 690 newton meters, so the thing's really, really good. We've kept the tune safe as because this guy's going to tow. Air fuel ratio is around 19-20 to 1, so still extremely safe. And this thing will go forever.
Well, look, I can't speak highly enough to also too for yourself, what you've done with My Patrol, the results we've got out of that.
Yep.
Just absolutely fantastic. I'm sure this guy's going to be very happy when he comes to pick her up. So there you go, guys. If you want to find out more, jump on their website, dieselchenaustralia.com, and fair chance, might see you out in the bush someday. All right, you mate.
Thanks, Batey.
Thanks very much.